Okay, well, I want to welcome Madison Hansen to our Chemistry 108 interview series where I interview either former or current Golden Eagles. And Madison is one of our current Golden Eagles in the chemistry and biochemistry discipline. And so, welcome, Madison.
Hi.
So, the classes are all of our freshman chemistry and biochemistry majors. We got about 28 students enrolled in the class, and I'm sure they're looking forward to hearing more about you and your experiences here as a current Golden Eagle, because you're in your fifth year and will be finishing up with us here at the university in December. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right, fantastic. So, could you talk just a little bit with the students about why you chose chemistry and biochemistry?
So I came to college knowing I wanted to go to medical school, which a lot of biochemistry students also have the same goal. But I just started off with completing the pre-medical requirements without a science major. Um, then when I looked closer at the required courses, I realized that I was only a few more courses away, like maybe one more semester away from having a whole degree in a science discipline. So I decided to declare a double major in biomedical sciences. After about a year in biomedical sciences, I realized that I did not like biology as much as I thought I did. I'm definitely more of a math and physics brained person, so I decided to change my major to biochemistry. The thought of taking like zoology scared me, but the thought of taking PChem seemed less intimidating, which most people would disagree, but that's how I knew that a more chemistry focused degree was for me.
Okay. Now you're a bit unique in the fact that you're one of a relatively small number of students on campus who are actually double majors, and so your primary major when you came to USM was music, correct?
Right. So I started with just the music degree and was planning to just complete the pre medical curriculum on top of that. And then I later decided that the double major was doable. Now, the double major is part of the reason why I'm spending a little extra time here, but I feel like because I've had some extra time, I've had the opportunity for very enriching experiences.
So music was your primary major. Can, can you talk just a moment to the students about what it was like once you declared the biochemistry major, uh, managing time between both music and biochemistry?
So I was a little bit lucky in the fact that the music and biochemistry degrees kind of mirror each other. Most degrees on campus, you take your gen eds your first 2 years and then your more major specifics your last 2 years, but music is opposite. More of the music specific classes occur like freshman and sophomore year. So I spent freshman and sophomore year getting those done. I had to do some summers to do the gen eds, and then my last 2 years have been primarily biochemistry with some performance stuff. But a lot of my music coursework was already done after the first 2 years. Balancing time was definitely tricky, especially because music is quite demanding outside of just coursework. Um, we have lots of rehearsals that we don't get credit for, and you have to practice independently for at least 3 hours a day. I have even courses that were worth 0 credit hours that were required, so that was tricky. And my biggest advice to students is to keep a planner. I live by my planner.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's definitely good advice. So, as you know, being in the chemistry biochemistry discipline, you have to do undergraduate research. You're also in the honors college, which also requires an honors thesis. So, can you talk a little bit about how you found the experience of getting involved in a lab earlier rather than later?
Right, so I joined research about halfway through my junior year, so right before COVID hit. Fun. Um, I felt like I was behind because a lot of honors students had already joined labs like sophomore year, and I was a junior and I wasn't in a lab yet, but I soon learned that joining a lab junior year was early. But I had to do my faculty interviews for my honors college class, and that's what brought me to this lab.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So can you talk a little bit about how do you feel the experience of actually doing, I mean, obviously there are challenges doing research, right? It's not like the typical lab experience that you had as a freshman or a sophomore, right? These are independent projects in a lot of ways. So talk a little bit about how you feel about that experience in terms of enriching your educational experience here at the university.
Right, so my research experience was like the first delve into the real world of science, because like you said, the classes that you take as an undergrad, your teacher already knows what the answer to those questions is going to be that you're trying to answer in that lab, because you're trying to learn basic skills. But once you get into a research lab, you can then apply the basic skills that you've learned in your classes to solve real world problems. And sometimes there is no answer to the questions that you're trying to answer. And that was the biggest new experience for me, was pursuing a project that might not have a clear answer and just seeing where it takes you.
Okay. All right. Well, you also have had an experience that I think a lot of students would benefit from this past summer during the pandemic. You were able to go to Boston, right, and continue doing research as not in an REU program per se, but in a different type of setting. Can you tell them a little bit about the program and where that was at?
Yeah, so the program I did this summer was kind of a happy accident. I was planning to study abroad with my honors college scholarship in music, but because of the pandemic, it got canceled twice, 2 years in a row. And so I felt like I couldn't just sit at home and do nothing all summer, especially with pending medical school applications. I was like, I need to do something productive with my summer. So I did my honors colloquium project on celiac disease, which is something I'm quite interested in. So I still was interested in it. So I literally just Googled celiac disease research program summer. And the first result that popped up was the digestive disease summer research program at Massachusetts General Hospital and Harvard Medical School. And of course, being from Mississippi, I was like, there's no way. All they wanted was a letter of recommendation and a resume. And I was like, let's try. So I just sent that in and was hopeful. I wrote to them about my passion for doing celiac disease research. So I was like, hopefully they'll see that in me and want, I don't know, maybe accept me. But I had looked at members that had been in the past, like they always had people from like MIT and all these really big schools, Yale. I was like, there's no way I'm going to get into that. Well, it turns out a month and a half later, I got an acceptance email. So I spent my summer in Boston doing mucosal immunology research to help elucidate factors that contribute to the onset of celiac disease in children.
Fantastic. So talk a little bit about the program. How were you supported in the program? How did you find housing? What was the process once you got that acceptance letter, kind of to your first day of going into the laboratory there in Boston?
Okay, so I got an NIH grant to help cover some of the living expenses that was automatically awarded via acceptance to the program, but I quickly learned that was going to get eaten up quickly with housing in Boston, because Boston is actually the second most expensive place to live in the country. So they were not providing housing for us. I thought maybe I could try to do some university housing, but since the program wasn't technically affiliated with the university, they wouldn't offer housing. So I had to do an extended stay Airbnb, which was rather expensive. And at that point, I reached out to USM. I was like, look, I got into this cool program, and I might need some money to help live over the summer, and I got a Pathways Scholar grant from the university to help.
Which is through our quality enhancement plan, right? I believe. Maybe. Which office did you contact about that?
I don't remember.
No, that's okay. But nonetheless, you got enough money to cover your living expenses for the summer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So were you
And
out
some.
and some? Yeah. So you're able to do a little bit of making some money as well. No, that's good. That's good. So talk a little bit about your the skills that you learned in your curriculum and in your lab time here, whether it be research lab or undergraduate lab, and how those skills building exercises really benefited you during the summer in Boston.
Right. So my PI over the summer told me, she admitted by the end of the summer that she was concerned about me coming to her lab because she knew that my background was in organic chemistry, and this was a cellular biology genetics lab. So she was worried that I wouldn't be able to learn the techniques and the skills in the short period of time to complete any kind of valuable research project. But I've learned that the research is very translational. The skills that you learn of like how to problem solve and just how to figure things out on your own translate between disciplines. So I was able to learn quickly what I needed to do there, and it was amazing to me because every single day I used concepts that I learned in my undergraduate degree from all of my classes: biology, microbiology, genetics, biochemistry, analytical chemistry I even used. So I was consulting old textbooks and notes almost every day while I was there. So your undergrad does matter, and the courses that you're taking now might come up later, and you just don't even know what stuff you're going to need.
Yeah. No, I think that's absolutely right. I think that's spot on. That it's really more about the problem solving skills that you learn and how to tackle a problem that a discipline like chemistry and biochemistry can really prepare you well for. Actually, all STEM disciplines, but obviously we're talking to chemists and biochemists here. But we're not in a silo. Science is science, and the skill sets and the experiences that I think that you took with you to Boston certainly proved to be valuable ones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, fantastic. So if since a lot of the students that are going to be viewing this are probably thinking similarly about medical school applications, I thought maybe we'd give you a moment or two to provide any advice that you may have about when students should really start thinking about taking the MCAT, or when they really should start thinking about getting that list of schools that they want to apply to, et cetera. So any advice that you can give along those lines, I'm sure they would find helpful.
Yeah, so the easiest thing for me to think about is maybe regrets or things that I wish I had done. I didn't declare pre-med until the second semester of my freshman year, so I still always felt like I was behind everybody else. Things that I would get involved with early on are volunteer organizations. They want to see that you don't just go work this run on a weekend. They want to see you commit to a volunteer program and dedicate yourself over multiple years. Same goes for research. If you can start maybe shadowing in or screening out labs that you might want to join by like sophomore year, that might be helpful. But it's not to say that starting later doesn't give you the same value, because I started later and I've had very valuable experiences. Pay attention in your classes now, because trying to relearn things for the MCAT later is not fun. And even maybe find practice questions for the MCAT that are relevant to your classes that you're in. Like if you're taking Organic Chemistry 1, while you're studying for that class, be finding like Organic Chemistry MCAT questions and try to train your brain to think through their thought processes, because that'll help prepare you for that. I took my MCAT winter of my senior year because I'm applying now so I have some time off in between undergrad and medical school. Lots of people take it the summer after their junior year. Around somewhere in there is a good time frame. Just make sure you give yourself time to study well for it. Don't take it in the middle of a semester if you don't think that you can study for the MCAT while you're also completing your coursework. I took mine at the end of winter break, so I had a good solid 2 months to crank down before I took it. And school selection is tricky. A lot of that doesn't happen until you get an MCAT score back, because you want to gauge what schools you apply to based off of like where your stats are going to get you the farthest. So I didn't do a lot of school selection until after I got my score in. But one thing I'm learning is that the score isn't as important as they always say it is. The experiences that you have and the way you write about those experiences. So practicing writing over the next couple years will be good. Lots of reading and writing. That's what truly matters. So that's my advice.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I want to just thank you on behalf of the Chemistry 108 students for taking time out of your Saturday right before Labor Day to let us record this so we can share this with the students. And I'm sure you'd be happy to answer any student questions. So if you're okay with it, I'd like to maybe provide your email at the end of the video. So if students have any specific questions about your experiences, they can reach out to you. If that's okay with you.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So students, I will include that at the end of this video. And again, Madison, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day.
No problem.